Hello VC, I'm back today with a video on my recent charity shop finds. Been quite a few of these. I'm limiting myself to what I picked up in March and April. It's not everything I picked up, but it's a tasty little selection and some unusual stuff. So get straight to it. I think I mentioned before, about every 3 months one of my local charity shops has a big vinyl sale. They collect up all the vinyl kind of donations they get and just keep them for the sale. So didn't go on the day because I was actually at a record fair that day. But I went a couple of days later where they put the sort of leftover stock out for people to dig through. And I thought perhaps there wouldn't be anything decent left, but there was. There's some pretty good stuff. First off is this album by Papoose, who were a French band. There's the title. I won't attempt to butcher that or translate it, but come on, I mean, I saw that and thought that's got to be interesting. I think on Discogs it's described as kind of prog rock, and I wouldn't really call it prog, although there's prog elements certainly. To me it's more like 70s glam rock. I mean, it's a 70s album, but it's not glam rock for the kiddies. It's pretty dark. It's as much sort of art rock as it is glam rock, I guess. There's a lot of tribal drums on here, really interesting rhythms, some great heavy guitar. Trying to remember which tracks are which. I mean, there's second track, Soho, which to me almost sounds like The Clash if they were a French glam rock band. And you have got some kind of post-punk angularity to some of these songs as well. So it would probably appeal to a fairly broad fan base, but it all sounds like one band. It doesn't sound like they're dipping their toes in different genres from track to track. I think you can stream this album, or certainly a best of, which I recommend you do. It's a really great album. L'Homme de Cristal, last track on the first side, is a great track to check out. Un Drôle de Famille, I think it's that one. It almost sounds like a Dr. John track. It's got that kind of swampy voodoo glam feel to it. It's quite fantastic. I know nothing about this band. I'm going to have to do a bit of research, but I thought I'd show them to you before I got stuck into that. But really interesting stuff. I think I paid £8 or £9 for this. Never seen it before, so that was a bit of a no-brainer. Then also in that charity shop I picked up The Rough Guide to Cambodian Psychedelia. A similar price I think I paid for this. It's a slightly strange compilation because it jumps all over the place in terms of the era these tracks come from. It's got ones from, I guess, the late 60s, early 70s that have that real kind of slightly, I know it's Cambodia rather than India, but it's got that kind of Bollywood sitar kind of feel to the tracks. And they're really interesting. They're real period pieces. And what's, I guess, most interesting is a lot of this music was made during the era of the Khmer Rouge, where I think probably playing in a rock band could get you killed quite easily. So yeah, taken in that context, these are pretty important historical documents. I think a lot of rock music from Cambodia of this era, or of the 60s and 70s, has just got lost because I think a lot of records were destroyed, burnt, who knows what. I mean, it was a horrendous situation in Cambodia at the time. So the fact that any record survived is quite something. So you get records from that era, and then you've got modern Cambodian psych bands like Dub Addiction, who, as the name suggests, go in a much more sort of psychedelic, heavy dub vein. Really good. I can recommend this. Don't think it's too difficult to pick up. So that was the second one from that particular charity shop. Then I picked up this, which I'd never heard of Chaz Sanford before. Parallax View, the album's called, as you can see there. And this, I was interested to see, is a white label promo on Elektra. I don't know whether it got a full release. I suppose it probably did, but maybe sort of limited distribution. But I've really enjoyed this. I think I paid £2 for this one. And to get £2, I figured if it's no good, I'll just pass it on. But this isn't going anywhere. I've been really enjoying this. He gets compared to Rick Springfield, I suppose. And yes, he's got that kind of AOR mixed with power pop style. But vocally, he reminds me more of someone like Bob Geldof with the Boomtown Rats. Yeah, really interesting stuff. It's got a lot more substance to it than some AOR can have, particularly of this era, sort of 1982. So I shall be giving that one a lot more spins, and I can recommend it if that sounds like your kind of thing. Then where did I get these? Oh, okay. Let's hop onto these two first. This was from one of my local Oxfam shops, Magic Kids, and their album Memphis. Blind buy, again, knew nothing about it. Did a quick search on Discogs just to see what the genre was. And I think Baroque pop and the Beach Boys get mentioned quite a lot. And I figured, can't really go too far wrong with that. And it's pretty much in that vein. It is Baroque pop with great harmony vocals. Reviews I've read suggest that it's a little bit sickly sweet, just a little bit twee perhaps, and I can understand they might have that sort of accusation levelled at them, but when you're in the mood for some sickly sweet kind of Beach Boys influenced Baroque pop, this really hits the spot. So yeah, very happy with that. And again, that was a cheap one. I think I paid £4 for that, so cannot go far wrong. Just can't get the insert back in the sleeve now. And at another Oxfam shop, different Oxfam shop, I got the first album by Black Sun Ensemble. I have their second and third albums. Second one I think is fantastic. Third one's a bit not so great. So I didn't know where this was going to sit in terms of enjoyment, but this is really interesting. I'm trying to remember a bit about it. Just played it the once, and I did enjoy it. I think it's a very spare sort of piece of space rock almost. Yeah, I shall revisit this, but they get sort of lumped in with psych and space rock and that kind of stuff. And each of their three albums that I've heard seems to be very different. And this one, like I say, is probably a little more electronic. And looking at the lineup, there's a violin on here, and I think that's pretty prominent. I say I've only played this once. I think when I listened to it, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Velvet Underground. Perhaps that's because of the violin, but it's got that slightly homemade lo-fi kind of feel to it as well. Interesting artwork. And there's the band. So yeah, that I got for, again, I think that was £3 or £4. Then I picked up a copy of Rock Workshop. I think I paid £12 for this, something like that. I've been after a copy for quite a while. This is the dreaded horn rock, but it's so well done. You've got Ray Russell on guitar, who has played with absolutely everybody, and he really rips it up on this. Fantastic guitar player. The first track You to Lose, it's all a little bit Wilson Pickett for my liking. You know, I'm not a huge fan of soul, to be honest. You know, take it or leave it. Don't actively dislike it, but I don't collect it. I thought if the whole album's in that vein, don't know how well I'm going to get on with it, but it loosens up quite a lot after that, and it becomes quite progressive jazz rock. You've got Bob Downs on flute on a lot of these tracks, and he's put out a few really interesting albums of his own. And for me, the real draw for this is that on some of the tracks, Alex Harvey of the sensational Alex Harvey band sings, and his vocals are fantastic on this. You know, you either love or hate his voice. I love it. I love the expression he puts into every word that he sings. So yeah, check out the cover of Wade in the Water that he sings on. That is really, really good. There's some superb instrumentals as well. Spine Cop is particularly good, and Mooncross Grove. I mean, to be honest, the whole thing is really great. So don't be put off by the horn rock tag, because they move well beyond that. Really worthwhile listen. Then a couple of upgrade copies for me. I was really lucky. One of my local charity shops, and I guess this is the benefit of being a regular, is I walked in one day and the woman behind the counter said, "Oh, we just got some records in. Do you want to come around the back and have a look?" I'm like, "Yeah, do I?" So I got first dibs on all this stuff. There were some interesting titles, but things I've already got, and I figured I'd leave those for other people to enjoy. But I got an upgrade copy of John Martin's Glorious Fool. Had a copy of this, but it was crackly as hell. And it's not a record I want to pay a fortune for, because it's not one of, or not considered one of John Martin's greatest achievements. But I've always enjoyed it. I mean, the thing that puts most people off is the fact that Phil Collins produces this and plays drums on a lot of it. And yeah, it's got that real 80s Phil Collins sound. But I don't have a problem with that. And everyone sounded like this in the 80s. Yeah, it didn't matter whether you're John Martin or whoever. You'd be considered a dinosaur if you didn't embrace those electronic sort of drum sounds and that 80s production. I really enjoy this. Some really great songwriting, good performances. You know, Phil Collins is fantastic. John Martin's voice I've always loved. Eric Clapton crops up on guitar here and there. So glad to have an upgrade copy of that. Also got an upgrade copy of Queen's Sheer Heart Attack. Now, sleeves a little bit, got a bit of laminate wrinkle there, but the disc is in great condition, and my copy, again, I've had it for decades and it's showing its age. So very happy to get an upgrade of that. Again, I think I paid £5 for that, something like that. Then in the same batch that they'd got in, I'm assuming they'd all come in from the same person, but some of them had the guy's, I assume it's a guy's name and address on them. And it looks like he was a Swedish guy. So there were some albums which didn't really know a lot about, but they looked interesting. Pooh Rogefeldt, probably not how you pronounce his name. I've had one of his albums previously, didn't like it too much, offloaded it. But I saw this one and it just looked like it might be a bit more up my street. And it really is. Far more in that kind of 70s rock vein. The previous one I had was more of a sort of bluesy kind of Memphis type rock thing, and wasn't crazy about it. But this, again, I only played it the once. I was figuring I'm going to offload it if I don't like it, but it's going to stick around for a while. See how I get on with that one. Then there's a couple here by the same artist, a guy called Ted Gardestad. And I saw this one, I thought, oh dear. I love the quilted biker jacket, anorak kind of combo he's got there. Different guy in the back. Don't know who that is. And from what I've read, this guy was a bit of a star in Sweden. But that's not what made me get it. What made me get it was the fact that A, it was dirt cheap. I think £2 or £3. And also that reading through the credits, Benny Andersson, who you obviously know from ABBA, plays on the album, as well as Jan Schaffer on guitar. So I just thought, can't really go wrong with this. I mean, I know that these people played a lot of sessions, so it's not necessarily going to be music that's as good as their own stuff. But I figured it was worth a go. I'm still not sure I'm keeping this because the Swedish vocals, I feel like I'm missing something by not knowing what they're singing about. And I think the lyrics are quite a large part of the reason to enjoy some of these tracks. But musically, quite interesting, 70s pop rock. Occasionally sort of heads into slightly sort of Beatlesque territory, I suppose. Some sort of piano ballads, some really tasteful guitar as well, as you'd expect. So yeah, sort of jury's out on this one. I'd be interested to know what Jonas over at Sublime Media has to say about Ted Gardestad and these albums, because I imagine he's got a very different sort of angle on having, I imagine, grown up with these records. So the other one by Ted Gardestad got is this one, Upptag. Which of the two is my favourite? This definitely has a little bit of a Beatlesque sort of feel to some of the tracks. Some of it is out and out sort of 70s pop, but yeah, it is pretty interesting stuff, and I'm definitely going to be giving this another listen. And again, you've got Benny Andersson on here, you've got Bjorn Lint on piano. I talked about one of his albums previously, which was fantastic, and Jan Schaffer again. So yeah, great lineup. And yeah, let me just show you the labels on this one. So it's on the Polar label, which I've never come across before. So yeah, they're the two I'm not so sure about. But like I say, I'd be interested to know if any of you lot have experienced Ted Gardestad and what you think of him and his albums. So that's the charity shop finds for now. I've been buying a whole ton of other stuff, and had some bad news recently about one of my favourite digging spots, which I'd mentioned before and hadn't revealed where it was. It was that sort of West London market stall, and I bumped into the owner at a car boot sale, and the council had evicted him from his stall, so he's not going to be there anymore. So that's one source of vinyl out the window. But I have since discovered that you can buy vinyl on Vinted. My kids buy clothes on Vinted, and I had a little look one day and realised I had an entertainment section as well. And it's worth checking out, because I think a lot of the sellers on Vinted really do not know what they're selling. They just have stuff they want to get rid of and price it accordingly. So I'll be showing you some of my Vinted pickups perhaps in my next video, and got some really good stuff. So until then, take care. Bye for now.